Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jeanette. Today is day 7 in a 7-day video series where I'm documenting everything that I eat in a day as I get back on track with my whole food plant-based way of eating. So while my breakfast is finishing cooking, I'll just show you, I've got this t-shirt on today. This is the t-shirt that Jim made for me for my 50th birthday, which was last week. And this was generally the theme of it. So this picture is from Disney World. We went last fall, which happened to be the 50th anniversary of Disney. And this was my first trip to Disney World ever. And here I am in the Magic Kingdom standing in front of Cinderella's castle. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a 50 on the castle. So this was really awesome that he did this. So yeah, I'm gonna wear this today. So today is day 7, and later this afternoon I plan to shoot in my outro the recap of this week and how I feel, my thoughts about how everything went, and my plans going forward. And later today I have to also make my sauteed kale again, so I was going to do that recipe for you guys as well. So in my day 1 video, somebody asked if the t-shirt that I was wearing came from Well Your World. Well Your World is another YouTube channel. It's hosted by Dylan and Reeves, and it's a whole food plant-based cooking channel. And yes, that t-shirt did come from there. I'm not sponsored by Dylan or his channel, and I'm not like promoting his stuff, but I do have a couple t-shirts from there. And yes, I do use some of the food products that he has on his website. And I only wanted to mention it because you might not be aware that there are these products out there, for one thing, and also they're another option for you if you're looking for some mixes like cheese sauce or gravy, that kind of stuff, and there's spices and things on his channel. So I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description box below. But yeah, I do use a couple of his products. So for example, I had cheese sauce with my pizza last night, and if I don't have all the ingredients to make my own cheese sauce, this is the only other one that I use, and it's from Dylan's channel. It's very good. And the other thing I'm going to try this morning that I just picked up is the date powder. I don't normally need any sweetener on my oatmeal, but I am going to try a teaspoon of this morning. And then I have a couple of the spices. So I've got the chili lime and galaxy dust to try out. I've tried the gravy mix, but yeah, it's another option if you need some quick and healthy things for sauces or seasonings. So breakfast is, you guessed it, oatmeal again. Today I put a splash of soy milk in it, and the frozen blueberries, cinnamon, and ground flaxseed, and I put a little bit of that date powder on here. It says 2 teaspoons is equal to 1 whole date, and I normally don't need to sweeten this with anything except just the fruit that I have in it. So I used 1 very scant teaspoon, and I think that's going to give it a nice flavor. And then I'm also having my non-starchy veggies, and today it's cauliflower, broccoli, and carrots that I steamed with a little nutritional yeast and garlic salt on top. And having the non-starchy veggies for breakfast has been a great way to increase my vegetable intake. So I've stuck with oatmeal all week. I have not gotten sick of it. Of course, it's something that I eat pretty much every day anyways for breakfast, so I'm used to it. It's simple. I can whip it up in a matter of minutes. But sometimes, you guys know I like to cook and get creative in the kitchen. Sometimes I will do tofu scramble or a sweet potato or regular potato hash with lots of veggies, or maybe hash browns. So I do change it up every now and then, but when I want to keep it simple, this is my go-to breakfast. All right, for lunch today, I'm having some more of my microwavable rice. This is a cilantro rice blend that I absolutely love. And then this is a hearty vegetable soup that I made yesterday. It's got onions, carrots, celery, garlic, mushrooms, zucchini, yellow squash, and tomato sauce in it. And I added a little Worcestershire and some Bragg's liquid aminos, and it is a really hearty and savory soup. Dare I say, it is somewhat reminiscent of beef stew, but not quite, but it's similar to that. So I'm gonna have a nice big bowl of that. So it's full of veggies and my rice, and if I need anything more, I'll just go back and get seconds. And I am also brewing up some of this cold water infusion. So it's blackberry, raspberry, hibiscus, and it's delicious. So I'm also gonna have that. And we ended up getting Red Robin again tonight, which was unexpected, but I ended up getting the same thing I had the other day, which is the Ancient Grains veggie patty, and you can see it's loaded with veggies. There's beans, it's delicious. Topped with lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, their relish, and I added avocado. I had them hold the mayonnaise and cheese again, and I got their side salad with no cheese, and I just topped it with my cashew ranch. Now, we have eaten out more times this week than we normally do. Things just kind of got away from us and we had a busy week, but that was kind of good because I was able to show you that I can make some decent selections when it comes to dining out. Hey guys, so I thought I would show you how I do my sauteed kale. It's a little bit different every time I do it, but the basic way I do it is the same each time. And I learned how to do this by watching a video by Dr. Weil, so I will link that in the description box down below if you want to see how he made it. So obviously I'm going to need some kale. Now the type I choose to use for this is lacinato or dinosaur or Tuscan kale. It's very deep green, like an emerald green. It's beautiful. We have a local farm that produces this. I prefer the taste of this over the curly kale. I think this is a little bit less bitter. I also add some sliced onions, so I'm going to use red onion. And I have a couple handfuls of chopped mushrooms over here. And I'm also going to use a half a teaspoon of chopped garlic in water, so it's the equivalent of about 1 clove. But I'm also going to be using these awesome garlic scapes, and I was really lucky to pick these up at the farmer's market last week because I was afraid I had missed the season, but they are around somewhere around the end of spring, early summer, and I was thrilled that they still had them. So garlic scapes, they look something like this. I've already prepped them. They come with a little bit longer of a stem and a bulb on them. And I chop that off because it can be kind of fibrous, and then you can eat these raw, or I like to saute them. You can turn them into pestos. There's a lot you can do with them. They have a very light garlic flavor, almost kind of in between like a scallion or leek and garlic. They're really, really good. And I know I'm going to get criticized in the comments for this one, but I do use about a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. I have changed my stance on a lot of things plant-based ever since I've done a little bit more research into Dr. Weil's anti-inflammatory diet, which is really honestly how I eat more in accordance with that now. And because I don't have any cardiovascular disease, I use a tiny bit of extra virgin olive oil very sparingly in some select dishes. This is one of them. I have tried making this with and without the olive oil. I prefer it with the flavor of the olive oil, but if you are oil-free, you can absolutely leave it out. All right, I start with a nonstick skillet over medium heat, and I measure out just 1 teaspoon of olive oil for this whole recipe. Now, I know that in the whole food plant-based community, we are taught to avoid oils like the plague, but after reading more through what Dr. Weil has to say about food in general, there might be some anti-inflammatory benefits to extra virgin olive oil as well as a favorable fatty acid profile. So that's why I opt to use a tiny bit of it in some select recipes. But again, I don't have cardiovascular disease, so I choose to do it, but using oil is a personal choice. All right, so then I add my onions and I saute just for a couple minutes. I'm not looking for them to get translucent. I just want them to soften. Then I throw in my garlic scapes, my chopped mushrooms, and I have baby bella and shiitake mushrooms, and then I throw in my chopped garlic too. Then I add my kale, and I switch over to my tongs and I start tossing my kale around. You're going to see that greens reduce a lot in volume as they cook, and one of the saddest things we can do to greens is overcook them. So I just want to give this a toss and let them saute until they have turned a really vibrant green color and have wilted down quite a bit. Now, when they're done, you can add balsamic vinegar to this to taste. If you want to salt it, you can. Greens have quite a bit of salt already, and when they cook, that's a little bit more pronounced, so I am happy with it just like this. All right, so that is day 7 of a whole week of what I ate in a day videos, and I just wanted to recap and go over some of the things that I realized throughout the week. The first thing was that this was very easy to do. There wasn't a whole lot of stress around food. As long as I had some basic stuff prepared in advance or knew what I could pick up at the grocery store that was already prepared, things went pretty simply. I kept my meals really simple, as you saw. You know, when I do YouTube videos and I do recipes, you know, I can get a little bit more creative and stuff, but in my normal day-to-day, I tend to eat kind of simply. There's a lot of things on repeat. There's generally a rotation of dinners that we have. So I kept things very simple. And the other thing to point out is that I don't do everything from scratch all the time. Sometimes my food prep might not go as planned on a Sunday if I'm, kind of tight on time, or sometimes I don't get to the Thursday food prep. Sometimes I have to rely on pre-made or packaged things from the store, things that I can heat up easily, or maybe some sushi that's ready to just unbox and go. So I just try to make the best choices that I can when I'm choosing foods that I haven't prepared myself. Another thing I realized was that maybe I wasn't eating as poorly as I thought I was going into this. We're our own worst critics. So I thought, wow, I've got to make so many changes. And I have to tell you, this was just like riding a bike. I mean, within a matter of a day or two, I was right back in the swing of things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is great. There were a couple of improvements that I was able to make, like giving up the heavily processed foods like cookies, crackers, chips, pretzels, that kind of stuff, and instead grabbing fresh fruits or vegetables for a snack, and also giving up the desserts after dinner, and instead taking fresh fruit. And I was very happy with that. And in fact, I've lost my desire for desserts. So there were a couple of improvements that I made, but overall I realized I really wasn't doing as badly as I thought I was. And I just have to remember to go easy on myself. The thing I like about this is that for me anyways, there's no calorie counting, there's no portion control. I've tried that kind of stuff before. I think a lot of us have, and it does indeed work for some people. For me, not so much. I have more of a mentality of deprivation when I have to do that, and then I develop anxiety around food in general, like when is my next meal coming? Oh my gosh, when can I eat again? Has it been 2.5 hours? Can I eat again? And that kind of makes me crazy, but I know that it works for a lot of people. So if it works for you, absolutely keep doing it. But for me, I just like the feeling of being able to eat as much as I need to and not have to count or portion anything out. So there wasn't that anxiety around it that, oh my gosh, when is my next meal coming? In fact, I wasn't even thinking about my next meal in between meals, which was kind of nice. I also noticed that I have had some improved sleep hygiene. So the best way I would describe it is I'm sleeping more solidly. I'm waking up less during the night, and I am not as uncomfortable in the middle of the night. I've slept very well, and I've woken up feeling very refreshed. Another thing I noticed is that I don't really have any aches or pains this week to report on. And it's not like I hobble around, and I'm in pain all day long. I'm a very active person. I exercise every day. But as a 50-year-old, I tend to have a few aches and pains here and there, muscles are sore or whatnot. And this week I have really none of that to speak of, so I just thought it was something I should mention. Digestion. My digestive system has been humming along. All I can tell you is it's been like perfect, and that's all we're going to say about that. And of note, I did weigh myself before and after, and I actually have lost 2.7 pounds. That's wonderful, and I know that weight loss is going to be a side effect of eating better like this. But that's not my goal. My goal is to just feel my best, and that's it. And like I said, weight loss will be a side effect of that. I've honestly gotten away from talking about weight loss on this channel. You guys have probably noticed that I don't talk about it much, if at all. And that's just because at this stage of my life, my priorities have shifted. And I'm not into the whole getting thin and skinny thing, and I don't think that being thin equates with being healthy. Likewise, I don't think that being overweight necessarily equates with being unhealthy. There's a lot of factors at play with all of this and our general health, but I just am over the whole obsession that our culture has with thinness. And at this point in my life, I am focused really on just feeling my best and making sure my body functions at its best, feeding it good, wholesome food to be able to do that. And a nice side effect will no doubt be some more weight loss with this. And it's not like I don't believe that people should be in healthy weight ranges for them. It's not something that I really want to talk about much anymore, because there are just so many other factors when it comes to our health. All right, so that's it for this series of videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you would like me to do more of these, because they were actually quite easy to film and edit. So I would be more than happy to do these again and try to change the food up a little bit. But hopefully if you needed some inspiration or ideas, you got that from this week's worth of videos. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll think of another video to do now and hopefully see you guys soon, but I hope you guys have a great rest of the week.